Good afternoon, Gossip Talk Shows family. Is Sansa here at Gossip Talk Shows. Find your own voice, lead from within. So, with me today, I'm with Grant Morel and Amanda Murray. How are you guys?
Very good at this end, thank you. How about you, Amanda?
I'm good. I'm tired because it's been the startup of school, but I
Ah,
really am excited for this topic today. So I'm excited to dive in.
good.
Awesome, awesome. So, the topic today is start with why, the how comes last. So, in business leadership, innovation, or personal growth, success isn't just about what you do or how you do it. It's about why you do it. These principles made popular by Simon Sinek in his book. Start with why highlights that the most influential individuals and organizations begin their journey with understanding their purpose and their big why. Once that is clear, the how strategy and what is execution and everything can follow meaningfully and consistently. So this approach helps you to build trust, to inspire action, and foster long-term loyalty. And Grant, you chose the topic. Would you like to explain to the audience what was the motivation behind you doing something behind the scenes? What motivated you?
Um, yeah, well, I think it's a key topic because you look at things, and I've been thinking in the last couple of weeks about what people are doing. So we're coming towards the end of the year, and also speak to lots of people changing careers, changing careers. I mean, people going to college, people are coming out of college, people are trying new things, and if they're trying that, they're thinking some of them they're loving what they're doing at college and university, some are not, sort of questioning what they're doing. The end of the year is we're in the latter parts of the year now, just entering like the last quarter, and then people start thinking about the future. So when it comes to starting new projects, I think a lot of people look just like a couple of steps ahead. But for my thinking, people never look to the end. They never look to why they're doing everything in a big way. So they look at making small milestones, but they don't look at what the end goal is. And I think you can make life super, super easy. Uh, uh, Super easy if you just think of why you're doing something. If you think of why you're doing something, then it's really simple, right? Um, Once you understand why you want to do something, and I mean deeply why, your purpose, you know why you want it, the how becomes easier. So this is why we call it start with the why, the how comes last. Because once you know the why, it's always easy to work out the steps on how to do it. So you know what you want, and you just simply work backwards. And I think this is a great way of saving people's time, certainly the money and their energy. That's what I think. What do you think, Nomsa? What do you think about that?
You want to go first, Amanda, or?
No, go ahead, Namsa.
I agree with you, Grant, because understanding the power of purpose, I think, is really, really important. And before anything else, you must perhaps your why, starting with when you start with your why, it really, really matters. Because most companies, they begin by grabbing what they do and how they do it, the features with the company strategy, but people are driven by emotions, so not logic. So it's really, really important to have that big why, like Grant is saying, and connect with this meaning, not just the information, and have it. When you have that clear purpose, it inspires loyalty and it motivates your team as well and sets you apart from your competitors as well. And it just helps you to be different. Because, like, if you look at it, most people they try to do what everyone is doing. But if you look at to the companies that they know they're big wise, they actually, there's a big difference. You can see where they're going. What do you think, Amanda?
Well, I think being in education and being a teacher, like my why is really what drives me, because it's definitely not the money or the stress of the job, because I really, really enjoy inspiring kids and working with kids and just like helping people think critically and think differently and look at situations differently. And so when you look, and I really enjoy teaching. I think there are people who would hate teaching and who would be terrible at it, but because I like really enjoy it, and it's like a heart-driven career, it's something that like I find so much joy in my why, and the how, even though there's like so many things that drive me crazy about my work, I just sometimes like I have to compartmentalize things where I'm like, okay, this is what's good for kids. This is what I'm going to do. This is the garbage that's coming from up top. What is it that I have to do? And what is it that I can just set to the side and ignore? And when I can set that garbage to the side and ignore it, then I can do what's best for kids in my classroom. And I think that's something that like it's there's really high teacher burnout. Like I was reading the other day, because where I work, we're actually like set to go on strike in October in our province in Canada. And it's 40 to 50% of teachers quit within the first 5 years because of the workload and the stress and all of those things. And there's been multiple times throughout my career where I've been like, I need to quit and do something else. But it's when I learn how to like set this stuff aside and be like, this stuff doesn't matter. It's the kids that matter. I love teaching kids. I love working with kids. I do not love sitting through meetings. I do not love top-down PD. I do not like, there's so many things that are really, really frustrating about this, but I like when I can focus on just like helping kids and how their faces light up when they get something or when they get that extra help. Like I've had a couple of kids who can barely write a sentence in grade 5 already this year, that I've just like pulled aside and been like, okay, I saw in your writing you didn't get a lot done. Like, I'm going to help you, and like, let's get your ideas down. And then we get their ideas down, and they're just like so proud of themselves afterwards. And I might be the first or second teacher that just pulled them aside and was like, hey, like, I noticed, instead of being like, you got nothing done, like, do it again. I'm like, how can I support you to get something here? And it's like, and then their faces just light up and their energy shifts, and it's just like, it's so wonderful to see kids really be able to like start learning and building their confidence. And so that's my why. And even in a really tough career, that 40 to 50% of people quit within the first 5 years. Grant, what do you think?
I think you're right. I think the part that it done it for me was the part you said at the end, was how many percentage of people actually quit at the end. So what was your, how is that generally received, that sort of volume of people?
Well, it's teaching just not for some people, right? The workload and the stress, and they like got into the profession probably either because they're passionate about it. The people who are passionate about it tend to stay. The people who are like, oh, I took a history degree and I can't do anything with it. If I go back and I do a 2-year degree or a 1-year degree, I'll just go be a teacher. And it's like, you can't just go be a teacher because you'll hate it. You have to like have that drive and that like internal like knowing that it's something that's you're passionate about
Right.
in order to stay, for sure.
So do you notice the difference to people when they're doing something that comes from passion and they know why they're doing it? Do you find a difference in them, the kids, as opposed to they're doing it because they have to?
Oh, absolutely. And even when I'm teaching, like there's some things that I'm not super passionate about, but I have to teach. So I'm like, well, guys, we just have to get through it because it's in the curriculum and I have to like cover it. But when they're passionate about something, they're like so excited about it. So, for example, the other day I read my book, A Better Tomorrow Starts Today, and we looked at it from the perspective of how can we make things a little bit better than we found them. And then
Mm.
we went out to the school garden and we were picking the weeds, and because nobody had taken care of the garden all summer, it was kind of a disaster. And so we went and we were like trying to make spaces in the school a little bit better than we found them. And then a couple days later, I reread the book to them because in the back of the book, it says, if you had a superpower to make the world better, what would it be and why? And so I had the kids do like a little writing activity where they had to write a minimum of 5 sentences about like, if I had a superpower to make the world a better place, it would be to fly. And this is because if I could fly, then I could do this. And they had
Right.
like the best ideas. It was so creative. I still have kids trying to share an author's chair like 3 days later because there's
Oh,
so many kids that wanted to share. And then kids that were like not wanting to share at the start are now wanting to share later and like adding their books to the pile of people who want to share. And it just like we had such interesting conversations about their ideas too, because one of the students' ideas was to like they wanted the power to rewind time so they could go back and they could help people make better choices. And then we had a like really deep conversation about if you could go back in time and help people make better choices, would it actually in the future make it better, or would it have unintended consequences of changing things? Because and then they had like that whole discussion of like the movie Back to the Future where they go back and they like try to shift one little thing and then it actually like makes a mess of the future. And so even if we intentionally are trying to do something good, it could have bad unintended consequences. And then another student came up with the idea of like the power of imagination. They wished that they could have this power in their imagination to like if they see something wrong, then they could just fix it. So like if there was like a big garbage dump, they could like imagine in their mind like a beautiful space and then it would like turn into that beautiful space. And it was so cool because it was like the power of imagination you already have in your minds right now. Like we all have that within us. And that's what keeps us separate from AI, right? Because AI doesn't have the power of imagination. It just mines information that's already out there and then regurgitates it. But we have the unique thing being humans is our creativity. And so I'm like, the power of imagination is going to be something that's really important in the future because that's something that we can't reproduce with AI right now. And so it was like such an interesting, cool talk, and the kids just like light up, and they're it's so interesting. It's so interesting when you can find something that they're excited about. And I would say about 50% of my class wanted to share their writing, their 5 sentence writing on that. Some wrote more than 5 sentences, but my minimum expectation in grade 5 is to write about 5 sentences in a 20-minute period. And so yeah, it was really cool. And they when they're passionate about something like they're when they have to do math, sometimes they're like, oh man. But if I can make it fun, I do. But there's sometimes where we just have to practice and it's like suck it up. Sometimes you got to clean your toilet, suck it up.
yeah, yeah. It's you say up to 50% of them. You say want to thereabouts want to actually do that. That's quite interesting. It's interesting. What do you see with that NOMSA on the other side of the fence? Well, I mean, obviously not on the other side of the fence because apart from being a school teacher, Amanda, you're a mother as well. But I just want to ask NOMSA, what's your thoughts as a mother when you see kids who are doing things because they're inspired to do it because they know why they're doing it? Um, does it give you an easier run as a mother? Or does it give you more of a headache? Are they more inspired to do it, more driven and demand more resources from you? Or is that a better thing?
Yeah,
What's it like?
actually, it'll make my life easier if all the teachers were like that. I think as a mother, I'll have peace within me. Because I was raised, my dad was like Amanda, very inspiring and motivating the children. And I think it's really nice because, you know, when you speak, when you hear someone uh speak like Amanda, it's like, where are all these people? Like, we want teachers like that to inspire our children. Because children are different. They in school they perform different, so you have to find ways to help them to bring the best out in them. So every time I listen to Amanda, she gives me peace. But at the same time, I'm like, we need these kind of teachers to come forward to help our children. Because for me, with my children, I help them, I motivate them. And even when I go to the teachers, I'm very, very lucky. My children get good teachers as well. So I communicate with the teachers, and so they help them out as well. So well done, Amanda. I love that system, and I like the one with who chosen to do the power of imagination. That's brilliant. One of
Well,
your
and
skills.
when I first told them that all that we were writing, they all were like, "No, I don't want to write." But then
Really?
you also have to like structure it so that they are excited about it and like give them an example. And so we like made up an example together that was 5 sentences long. And I was like, this is what I'm expecting. Be creative with it. And then I gave them time to talk out their ideas before they had to sit down and write. Because if I just said, like, okay, I want you to write about if you had a superpower to make the world better, what would it be and why? And I just was like, here you go. They'd be like, oh, but we like made it fun and creative, like showing an example. And then we had talk time and then we went and wrote. So they were already excited after having time to talk about it before they sat down to write. And they had an example to give them structure. So I think sometimes it's like scaffolding those things as well. And so if you are helping somebody with like their passion or something, sometimes it's like maybe you're not as motivated about it, but when you have a chance to talk to somebody else or see examples of like where it is that you want to get to, it's just that much more motivating, right? To help people get on their path because you don't have to know every single step. You just have to like take the first one and then the second one and then the third one and then just keep going.
What other ways you think we can help people find their reason why they do something?
I always go back to like, what is it that you loved to do as a child? So what is it that you like could spend hours and hours doing, or that you like were super interested in? And I think that's something that we need to bring more into our lives because it like helps fill us with joy, right? Even if it's something that can't be a career, it or isn't necessarily your career right now, I think we need to bring more of that like stuff that filled us with joy as a child into our lives because
Absolutely.
then when we're filled with joy from doing those activities, it just spreads into all other aspects of our lives. And I think that's something that's really important. Just like if you start to build your confidence in one area, that's going to trickle into all other areas
Yeah.
that of your life and actually like continue to help you grow and evolve.
I think you're absolutely right. Getting back to the childhood, what you did, what could it be? And here's a couple of tips which I'd like to share with people is when it comes to your why, please don't say for your family. That is not your why. Your reason why, I mean, yes, you've got to look after your family and do the thing. That's kind of a given, right? But the reason why is something outside of yourself, outside of your family, something bigger than us. Something that really the reason why and a sense of purpose often can outlive us. That's the thing. So yes, I know your family might outlive you, but we're not talking. It's not an internal thing; it's an external thing. The reason why. Why? That's it. Good because it's more powerful. It's bigger than us. It's a huge thing because, as we know, we're just a small cog in a wheel of this universe. And that's why when you tap into something bigger, you're tapping into a bigger energy. A bigger energy will make it easier for you to piggyback on that energy and therefore propel you. There's a word, propel you towards achieving it. It's much bigger than us. It's a sense of purpose, the reason why you do something. Passion is a great igniter. Passion will get you going. Oh, I'm passionate about that. But think in your life, have you ever been passionate about something and then later, yeah, not so passionate about something? The flame can go out. It can get reignited, but it can go up and down. Purpose doesn't. So I think I mentioned this before, if you look at, you may be aware of the concepts of paper, wood, and coal. Passion's a bit like paper. It can light and ignite really quickly and really easily. Equally, it can burn out pretty quickly. Wood can take a little bit longer to ignite, a little bit longer. This is when you build a fire, you will have paper at the bottom with wood on top, and then on top of that coal, because paper ignites quickly and burns out. But that could be used to ignite the wood, which takes a little bit longer. It takes a bit more warming up, drying out and spreading, and then holding the heat and then retaining it and spreading. It takes a little bit longer. Then the coal on top, boy, that takes a bit of a while to ignite, doesn't it? It doesn't really go up in flames too quick, doesn't coal? It's a bit of a slow burn, as the expression goes. But once that stuff gets alight, it glows and gives out heat for a long time. Okay. And a bit like people, sometimes people are quick to start a project, but they're what I call Catherine wheels. You know, it's fireworks that burn brightly for a short space of time, and then suddenly nothing. I see people in projects like that. Some people are in it and they're all over the project like a rash. And then suddenly something else will take their interest and they'll drop that project and they're gone. But some people are slower burner. I'm guessing you see this in school. Some kids are great. They get the answers really quick learners, but their interest can go. Some learn it more slowly and more methodically and can sometimes rise to the top of the class. They're slow, methodical learners that remember it and embed it, you know. It's kind of why I'm a great believer. And I did it earlier in an email with somebody. We sent an email outlining everything to someone how to do it. Then they come back and ask the question, do we need permission to do that? Like, it is all in the email. I'll write one email and everything's in that email. Like, that's the only email you'll ever need, because I hate emails. So I'm not going to spend you loads. There's one. That's it. It will be the same for everyone. It's all there. Follow it. You know, and I said, if you can't find it, go to, rather than saying here it is again, I just said, go to your spam folder, have a look at your junk folder. If it's not there, search for this email. If it's really not there after all that, we'll happily send it again. But I thought, I'm not just going to let you be lazy and send it again. I want to see you actually make an effort and do it. So it's like some people get into things slowly and methodically, but they can be really, really solid performers and often rise to the top. And some people just flash into things quickly. A lot of entrepreneurs are like that. They'll flash into things quickly, and then once the business is running, they'll systematically wreck it when it comes to managing it, because they're so bored managing a business. It's not what they do. They want to. They want the excitement. They want the stress. They thrive on it. So quite often, once it's done, the best thing they can do is hand that over to a manager who will manage the business, while they go off and roll up the sleeves and burn the midnight oil and do this and do that and get it done just in time, because they love the excitement, the adrenaline of starting a company. So that's why they get the expression, a serial entrepreneur. They'll go from one to another, and that's them working in the flow. So some people like paper, they ignite quickly. Some people like wood, burn a little bit slow. Some are like coal. They take a long time before they'll commit to it and dip their toe in the water, because they know when they do, it's not going to be for 2 weeks or 3 months or years. They're in it for 20 years. They're in. You know, they're going to be burning, glowing for a long time. So they want to make sure they're making the right decision. And they're all good if you get people in the right way. So when it comes to your why, that's going to be a bit more like coal. It's going to be something that's going to stay with you. You know why you're doing it. I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day, and I asked them the question, why'd you do this? Why'd you do what you're doing? And I bet there's a story, and boy, was there a story behind it. Boy, was there a story. And that was their reason why. Quite simple. They're in it. It's way beyond money, way beyond that. and therefore the money comes easier because you're not doing it for money. 'Cause why do we get paid? We get paid for a result, right? You get paid for a result. Now, if you're passionate, if you're working on purpose, if you're doing something for the reason why, will you be more committed or less committed? What do you think? More, right? If you're more committed, are you more likely to get people a better result? Yes. Therefore, you can command a higher price point. So you don't chase the money, but the money gets thrown at you because you're doing it so well. When you're doing something you don't want to do, you do the minimum effort and you get paid the minimum money. It's pretty simple. So if you're doing something that you love, you're doing the why, life is easier. It never feels like you're doing a day's work in your life. It's something you do. The question is, what would you do with your life if there was no money? You didn't need money. Oh, I'd go and do that. Perhaps that's the career you should pursue then. Because it's not going to feel like a job. It's not going to feel like a task. It's something you're driven to do. And you know the reason why. Yes, there's passion and there's purpose. And that will give you your why, I think. So, and then once you got that, just figure, once you know, I mean, I don't know, I find a lot of people, and me when I was younger, I didn't really know what I wanted to do too much because I liked a lot of things. And that's it. But so I really envied the people who, at the age of 17 or 18, knew what they wanted to do. You know, I've got a friend who's an architect. He said, yeah, since I was about 12, I knew I wanted to be an architect. Bloody hell. And he's in his 70s now and he's still doing it. He said, I'll have to retire at some point, but I just don't want to. He just loves that. He's so lucky that he knew from an early age, that's what I want to do, you know. But there's other people. I read a book about a guy and he said he's done this, he's done that in his life, he's achieved this, he's done that. And he said, I'm in my 70s now and I still haven't worked out what I want to do in my life. You know, life's still a great adventure for him. You know, once I finish that project, I'm going to go into that. It's exciting for him. He's always got something to do. So he's trying to find out ways to live longer because he hasn't finished all the things he wants to do because he is more stuff. So
I never think that like retirement is the goal. I think like doing
no,
that you're passionate about because you need a why, you need a reason to get up
yeah,
or something that like excites you. Otherwise, you just end up like being really miserable old person.
yeah,
That's why I think that I love like I know Louise Hay is like passed on now, but like her backstory and everything is like so inspiring because she started a publishing company at 60 years old and like she was speaking and talking and doing all of the things like basically up until the day she died. Like I just find her like so amazing because people are generally like their goal is to retire at 65 and I don't think that's really the goal. I think the goal is to find things that like make you feel the most
yeah,
alive and make you like bring joy into your life, right? As much as you possibly can. And it might be still getting up and going to work. Like if money wasn't an issue, I would still teach in some capacity, whether it's like teaching English or like teaching yoga or just teaching art. Like I would always still teach. I might not teach in or I'd start my own school. I would start my own school if I had the money is really what I would do because I really think that there's so many ways that we could do things better than what we're doing them. But I was going to come back to what you said about something where you were like do like the minimal in this area so that you can like focus more on your passion. And
yeah,
I've read two different books on like just like self-help and empowerment and like finding your purpose lately. And one of them was like said do everything like it's your passion, like do your best at everything, so like no matter what it is, show up and be the best that you can be because then people are going to notice and they're going to help you shift. And then the other thing that I listened to was like the complete opposite of that, which is what you were talking about. And it was like find the thing that you are passionate about, do your job to the minimal amount so that you can spend all of your energy focusing
yeah.
on your passion and do that, and then like do the minimal amount in your job so that you just don't get fired. And this guy talked about how he like worked so hard at his job and then he decided to start this side business. So at his job, he literally started doing the minimal amount that he had to do to just not get fired. And when he'd get home from work, he would come and do like his passion project. And then once his passion project took off and became a business, he went and quit his other job. And his other job said, like, I wondered what had shifted in you because you used to be such a like star employee. And then you like did enough to like not get fired, but like you weren't being the same like passion that you had when you first started. And now I see why, because you were spending all of your energy on your passion project so that you could eventually
Right.
on off on your own,
It,
right?
great story, Amanda.
And
And
so they're two opposite like philosophies, and I think both work. It just depends on what your goals are and how you approach it. So yeah.
I think absolutely it is exactly, it's a mind shift. A lot of people might be sitting there horrified here. Oh, do it a minute. I mean, I see a lot of people in jobs, and I think that's all they do anyway. Because their shirt's not on the line. You work when it's your own business, you work at it a little bit differently to you do when it's a job. I think, there's no free lunches, right, Nomsa? You have to throw yourself into it, and it becomes a way of working. Um, I heard a DJ on the radio once that was talking about the cost of sickness, sickness benefit, what it's costing companies, blah, 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 blah. And some guy said, I think there's a very simple solution to that. Just make everybody self-employed. The sickness rate goes down dramatically. Of course, we're talking about non-genuine sickness, aren't we? Just like, oh, I think I've got a little bit of a tickly cough today. Yeah. Or as someone said the other day, I think I might have a cold coming on. It was almost like they'd scheduled it in the diary. I think next Thursday when we got that meeting, I might have a cold. Oh, okay. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, thanks for the commitment. But it's but yeah, you finally so that is one school of thought. Now, if you look at the wonderful ball game, educating kids on business, is by Robert Kiyosaki, called Cash Flow 101. It's like Monopoly on steroids. And boy, what an interesting game. You learn a lot about yourself. You see yourself in the game. The way you play the games, the way you play life. And you're like, oh, I get it. You know. And when we play the game, here's a real great analogy. We play the game with some of our business clients. And when we play it, we maybe take one person who's really bad at the game and we'll coach them in the moment. And when we coach them, quite often they win. Now, isn't that funny? They started off probably the worst and they end up the best because they got coaching. And that's the message we give them. Look, if you're working alongside somebody who really knows what they're doing and done this before, look how you can excel. Now, sometimes you play different characters in the game. You might be a lawyer, right? Oh, great, I'm a lawyer. I'm a doctor. Okay, you think that's good, do you? All right, let's see how it goes. And then you've got a janitor. The janitor can win with more money. Why? Because the janitor's got a simple job, simple, low overheads, uncomplicated life. Goes to work at 8 o'clock, finishes at 4, thereabout. Some janitors might be saying, I wish I finished at 4. But you know what I'm saying? They do it. They come home, they haven't got a head full of problems. Their job's left there. They locked it up in a cupboard when they left. They come home and they got some spare capital because they live in a simple life. They reinvest that capital and they look for passive income streams. Once you start going around, you learn there's some snakes and ladders sort of involved. Oh, I've got hit with a bill for that. Oh, that's good. Hey, I've got a government rebate that's gone up. All this stuff happens, and then if they get into the inner circle, man, your cash flow, you're making money passively, and then you have effectively retired, but you've got a whole income coming in, and a janitor can win that game. And the lawyers can sit there. I've got to pay for the Porsche, the kids' got school fees. I've got this, I've got that. I haven't got any money to invest because it's tied up with that. Now, I saw a message the other day. Was it a TikTok or something? And it was some guy chewing someone out on the street saying, hey, why are you doing this? Why are you doing it? And he said, why are you buying the latest iPhone? Spending your money on that? You could have invested. And he said, let's go, well, what do you know about investment? He said, well, I'll set up a, whatever, $50 billion investment company. from scratch. That's who I am. And I'm telling you, I said, if you didn't buy the latest iPhone, if you just had the second-hand iPhone or the older version and saved that extra X amount of dollars and bought Apple shares, you would have 10 times more the money than you've got now. He said, and I know what I'm talking about because I set up that investment company. That's how that qualifies me to say what I'm saying. And interesting point, isn't it? The janitor can do that, right? The janitor. So the guy who's going to work doing the bare minimum has come back. He's got more headspace at the end of the day. Otherwise, if you're doing so much in your work, you come back, you're burned out. So I used to say years ago for digital marketers, probably you'll work hard for 6 months and you may not make a penny in that time. You're paying money to advertise and you're getting nowhere for 6 months, which is quite normal. After 6 months, you might make $1 profit. That day you become a professional because you've made money. And from there you reinvest maybe a third of it and it goes up. You then make, $1.3, and then $2 for it, and it compounds. And then you're making a lot of money. But what job should you do? Stacking shelves, maybe in the supermarket, the bare minimum you need to do so it doesn't fry your brain. So your brain is free when you come home. So that was a strategy we used to teach more 10, 12 years ago to people like that. It's a suggestion. You don't have to do it that way. It's a suggestion. You could also argue that if you could easily do the job. Now, I studied, right, when I had a pretty busy job. And it was hard. I had like 2 hours sleep a night, no sleep. I was younger then. I could have done it maybe. But the point was when I first started that managerial job, I couldn't have taken on studies as well. There was too much to sort out, too much to do. After doing it for 3 years, I had the job running like a dream, as much as possible. So I had a lot of spare space to just go in, do the job without thinking, almost, could get it done. Did the bare minimum I needed to while I was studying and put it all into the studies. And I remember saying to the client, please bear with me. I'm just getting this done. I've got to submit my final paper. Then I've got to sit the exam. The day after that, I will come to see you. And I did. I went to go and see him. I said, right, done with all that now. Tell me all the list of problems. There was a list of things to sort out. And within the week, I had them all finished. It was all done within a week. All the problems caught up. And it was luxury to just work 60 hours a week. It seemed so simple. Like I had so much spare time on my hands. But, it's focus, knowing what you're doing and why you're doing it at the time. And I had a reason. What about you, Nomsa? When you look at things, are there certain tasks you have in your table which, they're in line with your why and certain things they really aren't?
Yes. For me, my big why is for me to complete the task is I have to ask myself, why do I have to do this? I wouldn't do a job that I don't like anyway. Everything that I do aligns with what Amanda said. I had to go back to my childhood and be honest with myself. Because in that moment, the things that I did is the things that I really loved and enjoyed. I love being on stage and I love helping people and I love listening to people. I'll sit hours and listening to people's problems. I'm not bothered about it. It doesn't affect me. So as long as that person, when I leave them happy. That's what matters. So that's what I had to do, and now everything that I do that. And I think like Grant, what you said it goes beyond the money. And Amanda said as well that everything that she does it goes beyond the money. Because she loves teaching, she loves helping the kids. So I think everything comes down to exploring your core beliefs. Your why is usually rooted in your beliefs, what principles that guide your life or your organization, and what would you stand for even if it's unpopular. And your core beliefs, they will then define your identity and purpose. So I think it's really, really important to know who you are and to know your big why and why you do what you do. And like the grant said, things sometimes things might be hard to get hard when you're doing that, whatever you do. And as long as you know your big why, and that why will drive you to be the person that you want to become. And you'll be different, you'll stand out as well. Because if you're not copying anybody else, but you are just doing you and following your dreams, and it's not easy. I said when you do your big whys, it's not easy. So it's just that what drives that big why. And this is where you have to get people, the real people that can support you as well is important, guys. Our audience, if you're watching, you don't compromise your why. Some people do compromise. I have loads of friends that had their big why, they got married, and their why became their husband, and they pegged everything away
Yeah.
because they want to fit in, they want putting their marriages first, but you become miserable anyway. So, but just do what makes you happy. Don't compromise your big why. I know that whatever you do is not gonna be easy, but that's where when you have people that support you, you can get to where you need to be. You don't need the crowd. You just need to one or two people. Your coach is important. Grant mentioned before, having a coach, guys, is really, really, really important. And if you don't have a coach, you here at Ngozi Talk Shows and Hope Spring Internal Introduction Agency, we have coaches. So you can come and get one. It will cost you, but we do have coaches.
It's an interesting point that, Nomsa, is that, people ask sometimes what's the cost of coaching? Well, it often isn't. It saves you money. That's the whole idea. Maybe not in the initial term, but longer term, it will save you a lot of money because, boy, does it save you a lot of time, tons of energy. And here's the thing: it's back to the guy who's doing a busy job. If you're doing a busy job, you may run out of energy, which means you haven't got spare time to complete your goal, your task, your passion, your reason why. And then that leads to an unfulfilled life. So energy management is really important. And when it comes to coaching, I was on a call yesterday, a 3.5 hour webinar with someone who was selling something. Obviously, he's a business, but he was saying that he always spends a lot of money on coaching. And I know he does. He does because he gets there faster. The most valuable commodity in life isn't money, it's time. You can get more money. You cannot get more time. The richest person in the world cannot buy more time. But what they do is they buy shortcuts. The closest you can get to buying the most valuable commodity, which is time, shortcuts. And coaching is that. It gives you the experience, the expertise, the decision-making process, the way to look at things, the alternative views, the sounding board, helps you unlock your potential. Because a lot of time we're driving around like a car that has a limiter on the accelerator. It won't go at full power. We limit ourselves. It's that. A coach will help you unlock that so that you work effortlessly and easily at cruising speed, which is your cruising speed then is way, way faster than it ever would have been before. So it saves you tons of time, the most valuable commodity you've ever had. Because you trying to figure it out by yourself, that's a really expensive route. I've done it. I've made the mistakes. You waste decades trying to often, if not decades, just years of time you can never get back trying to figure it out yourself. Why would you know it yourself? You've never done it, as opposed to somebody else. When I get a sound engineer, do you think I try and work it out myself? No, I get somebody who knows how to do it. I do it much quicker, saves time, obvious, right? So it saves you time. It saves you that energy. And if you haven't got enough energy, you burn out. You don't live your dreams. You end up unfulfilled. Very bad way to end your life, being unfulfilled. Not good. Okay, so it saves time, it saves energy, and it actually saves money. Because trying to do it yourself, trying to do it a cheap way is often the most expensive. You do it cheap, you pay twice. normally. You get it right with a coach, it makes it so much easier, saves them so much time and energy. So really the cost of coaching, short term, cash flow, long term, wealth. Absolutely. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any point in doing it. It doesn't make sense. So that's the way I look at it. And as coaches, we will have coaches. If we didn't, we'd be hypocritical. And we can't do that. We're very congruent because even as we're great coaches, we can help other people. We can't always see our own issues. That's why we need a coach to see that, to point it, to unlock our potential. And my coaches, they have coaches because they can't see their blind spots too. It's so if you ever find a coach who doesn't have a coach, I have to question their sincerity. There we are. That's that. I'll be coming up to the time. So I'll be Nomsa, do you want us to go into final thoughts?
You did know.
I'm muted. Sorry, guys. My final thought will be have clarity. Clarity is the impact. Like, how can I put it into words? Like, if you find yourself stuck, go back to the beginning. It's important to have clarity and also think about experiences that shape your values. If you find yourself like, you know what, I am stuck with my why did you start what you are doing? And sometimes it often originate to your story that you hold about your emotional seeds of your why. And maybe for business, it may come from like the struggles or vision for change. So just go back and remind yourself why you do what you do. For me, I actually shifted my mindset when it comes to life. I came to understand that my why comes with the struggles in life. So when I find myself struggling, all I think about is finding help, not thinking about maybe to quit. Quit is not an option. It's just finding help and finding someone to evaluate things and see where things are, where I'm going. And that's what I do. So you can find a strategy that works for you, but quitting it shouldn't be an option. And don't get stuck in trying, like a Grandi said, trying to figure things out on your own. Get help. Here in Gossip Talk Shows, like I said, we have coaches that can help you. Over to you guys.
Thank you. I think my final words on the subject will be, remember, the why is not you, it's not your family, it's bigger than that, it outlasts us, it outlives us. As Nomsa said, if you get stuck, go back to the beginning, and the beginning is your why. Why am I doing this? Get to understand why we do this. And sometimes you look at your project, your thing you must complete in life. Ask you, what must I do while I'm on this earth? What's the thing I must do? What's the legacy I must leave? What's the footprint I must leave? When people say that person, if they can't remember the name, they go, oh yeah, that the person who did that thing. That's what I'm talking about. That's your why. Once you do that and you work towards it, money will follow you. You won't have to chase money. Money comes to you because you are driven. You're not just doing it from that, you're doing it from there. It's a different energy, and people find that very attractive. It's a great thing to do. And then you feel like you never worked a day's work in your life. That's my view. Go and do that. Make your life easier. Amanda, how about you?
Yeah, I think that no matter what it is, like go back to like what is it that's like striving you, that's making you fulfilled and feeling that you can just continue, right? Because so many people start and they're super passionate and then they burn out. And so like find something that's like it's a journey, it's not a destination.
Love it. Love it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Amanda. And live with grace, everyone. And I shall see you tomorrow. Everyone else will see you next week.